This South Korean anime is kind of dark and political, but it's also fun, so let's get started. In the future, there was no energy left, and people have built a new city where their energy came from their excrements, aka their poo. Soon the authorities came up with 2 laws in order to control this energy. Law number 1. In each person's anus there was installed a microchip that counted the weight of the excrements. Law number 2. The citizens that went to toilet were awarded with a special frozen popsicle, causing addiction. And as a result, there was a flood of excrements and the city was full of lollipop addicts. The most successful business at the time was the legal market of those popsicles, which created the influx of big-headed mutants who were stealing popsicles in groups. Their whole band was named as the Scarf Group. In the opening scene, we see this group attacking legitimate forces and failing at stealing their lollipops. We also see the gang, aka the Scarf Group leader, who narrates how betrayed and angry he feels after the government literally took and used their shit without thanking them. They were expelled from the city because they became mutants and they couldn't even reproduce because their penises became really small as a result of their addiction. Their only source of food are the lollipops, and they haven't eaten for a month because they couldn't steal any. So the leader, who is more like a dictator, kills some of these scarf heads as a punishment. This blonde woman is the politician of the city. Let's call her president. So the president actively promotes the idea of scarf heads being bad and that they should be killed. In another scene, we see Ecchi and Sipek, who are basically dealers stealing lollipops from people who poop. Another gang catches them and threatens them, telling them that they have to bring them 100 lollipops per day. In the meantime, we see a porn movie producer called Jimmy, who is stolen by Ecchi and Sipek, who drug him and make fun of him. The Scarf Gang goes to the 4th section where most of the popsicles are made. Ecchi and Sipek send the Jimmy to the prison where the other gang beat them earlier resides. Ecchi commands Jimmy to beat them, and he does it while still being drugged, and the scarf heads appear and steal everything they can. Jimmy, who's tripping, thinks that they are aliens and shoots them until the leader catches him and threatens to kill him. He tries to convince him not to do it because he plans to film a successful movie that will bring him lots of lollipops. The leader proceeds to take out the microchips from the scarf heads and put them in Jimmy's anus, but he can't because it is dirty and stinky. As Jimmy said, his anus is his working instrument, but nonetheless he says that he knows someone in who they could install those chips. We see a fat man being thrown from a window by a beautiful girl who calls him a pervert. The 2 guys, especially Sipek, seems to be interested in her and follows her. She goes for the casting for the Jimmy's movie, but he doesn't like the plot of it and proceeds to leave. But Jimmy attacks her with a dildo stone. The 2 guys are outside of the apartment trying to see what's going on, while Jimmy tries to install the microchips inside her anus. She screams, so Sipek rushes to rescue her. The whole situation is kinda awkward. The girl escapes with the boys. She goes to the toilet, and because she poops a lot and has a lot of microchips inside her, she receives a lot of lollipops. Jimmy must be really proud, as this was the original idea for his movie. The girl doesn't know that she has a lot of microchips installed, neither the guys, but as dealers they want to use her. The scarf heads found them with Jimmy's help and tried to steal the girl. The authorities soon realize that there is a leak in the lollipop system, and after shooting in the boys' block, they found Jimmy dead, and they are in search for the boys as they think that they are in charge of finding the loop in the system. While the police is in search for them, they make tons of money by selling popsicles. Vamos a la playa, a mí me gusta bailar el ritmo de la noche. The police eventually finds them and attacks them at the same time as the Scarfheads and their rival gang. Their penthouse becomes a mess and the legendary trio escapes from both the authorities and the Scarfheads. Gecko, who is a police robot, catches the girl and fights the Scarfheads, but ends up being killed by their leader. The incident becomes famous in the news, and the leader plans to take over the city. CPEC plans to rescue his girl because he's in love with her. The president tries to create another plan to arrest the Scarheads, so she goes to the creator of Gecko, who says that he can turn back his life only if she provides a lot of dead bodies. So they make the deal. The doctor turns his life back, while the Scarfheads leader buys off the president's right-hand person. Then he kills him and bribes a doctor who tries to build the biggest mutant ever. Etchy and CPEC reunite and try to find the home of Scarfheads and the girl. War begins between the gang and the authorities. Gecko kills everybody in the battlefield and goes after the Scarf leader. Eventually the boys find her, but the two parties fight over her. The leader wins and the two boys end up at the doctor's office where he plans to use them for his mutant creations. Gecko unintentionally saves them and burns his whole office. He tries to kill the leader, and it turns out that Jimmy's head was used for Gecko. His head is sent by CPEC to the elevator. He reunites with his body and tries to find the leader. Both of them die, but the legendary trio managed to escape and continue their business. The end.